Let's see how to connect to MongoDB on Atlas using Mongoose from Visual Studio Code. So I have here a new empty folder. Let's initialize it as an npm project, and I'll do that with npm init. Then package.json was created, the file was created. Let's edit it. Here it is, and the only thing that I want to add for now is to change the type. I want it to be module. This is supposed to be more than Node.js, so I don't want to work with CommonJS, but with module. And I'm also going to update my script. I don't really want this test script. I only want the start script, and it's simply going to be node, followed by the name of my node application, which I'm going to create in a second. I'll just call it app.js, and this is going to be it for now. Next, let's go ahead and create app.js, and we're going to write the code here in a second. But first, let's start by setting up our MongoDB database on Atlas. So we need to go to cloud.mongodb.com, like this, cloud.mongodb.com. And of course, if you are not signed in yet, create an account, sign in. And once you are signed in, you will be able to create a cluster. So let's go ahead and create a cluster. I will use the free option. You can name your cluster whatever name you want. Cluster 0 works fine for me. And if you want, you can preload your cluster with some sample dataset. I don't want it, so I'll uncheck this box. And let's create deployment. And now we need to create a username and a password. So of course you should use something very secure for your password. For this example, I go with ABC123, which is probably not the best password, but it will work for now. Now notice that you're only going to be able to connect to this database from the IP address that you define here. As you can see, my current IP address, which is this one, has been added to enable local connectivity. So basically I will be able to connect to this database from my local machine. If your IP is not defined, is not whitelisted, you're not going to be able to connect to this MongoDB database on Atlas. So this is fine. Let's choose a connection method. Seems like I didn't create my database user yet, so let's create it first. Okay, apparently I'll have to use something stronger. Let's try this one. So let's create the database user. Great, let's move on. And now to keep things simple, I want to use the Visual Studio Code extension for MongoDB. It will make life a bit easier. So I need to click here where it says MongoDB for VSCode. And let's copy this connection string. Now let's go back to Visual Studio Code. And let's open the Visual Studio Code extensions. And here I'm going to look for MongoDB. And we want this extension, the first one, the one that is offered by MongoDB. So let's install it. Great, and it was installed. And now let's close this. Let's open the command palette with Ctrl-Shift-P. And here I'm going to look for MongoDB. And yeah, here is what I'm looking for, MongoDB Connect. Let's choose this option. Okay, and here I'm going to connect with connection string. So connect. And let's go back to MongoDB. So exactly what we can see here, the connection string that is shown here, and it's even shown with a password because I chose to show password. So I'm just going to copy it, go back to Visual Studio Code and paste it here. And now I can just hit enter. Okay, amazing. Now it's connected. And we also have this icon, MongoDB, or here on the left, the MongoDB icon. So let's try to click on it. Okay, and now we can see our connection. So let's get back to the website. And I think that we are done here. Now, in case you lost your user's password or anything of this kind, just choose here, database access. And here you are going to be able to see your users. You can always edit. And if you really forgot your password, you can just edit password. And you can always replace it with a new password, in case you lost the original one or you want to replace it. My password is great, the best password in the world, so I'm not going to change it. And now if we are going back to clusters, we already have the cluster that we just created. Here we can browse collections. But most of the time we're not going to do it directly from here because we already have the Visual Studio Code extension. But it might be useful to create some example data. So let's add my own data. And I need to give a name to my new database. I just call it DB1. And now I need to name my first collection. It's going to be collection1. And let's create it. Amazing. And it was created. We can see under DB1 our first collection, which is called collection1. Let's try to insert document. And if we click here, we can see it as JSON. If we click here, it's like this minimized view. Doesn't really matter. That's basically the same thing. So here, in addition to the ID, I also want, let's say, a name. And it's going to be my name. And let's also give myself some score. I don't really know what this score is about, but just to have something here. Let's say that my score is 150, whatever it is. Let's insert this document. And now we have a database called database1. Inside this database, we have a collection called collection1, and here we have this document with this kind of information. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. By the way, this is some old connection I had before. Let's remove it. So I can right click on it and remove connection. Okay, and we can see that it was already updated, and now I can see the database we just created, which is called DB1. I can expand this database, and I can see the collection, and here we can see the documents that are inside this collection. We only have one of them. And here we can already see the ID of the document, so if I click on it, so the exact same data that we created on the Atlas MongoDB website can be seen here. So this is the information in this document. Let's now see how to connect from a Node.js application using Mongoose to this data, to this database. So let's get back to app.js, and I'm going to start by installing Mongoose. So it's very simple, npm install Mongoose. And here we go. This is how we install Mongoose, and it was installed. And if we now open package.json, we can see Mongoose among our dependencies. So that's great. Let's go back to app.js. And now we would better import Mongoose. So import Mongoose from Mongoose. Now, the connection to MongoDB is an asynchronous operation. It's a long operation, so it has to be asynchronous, which means that we are going to need to have an asynchronous function to be able to make this connection. So let me create a new asynchronous function. I just call it connect to Mongo. And to create the connection, we simply need to go mongoose.connect. Now, as a parameter to connect, we need to pass the connection string. So once again, let's go to the MongoDB cloud. And once again, I'm going to choose overview. And here we can click on connect. And this time I'm going to choose drivers. And from the drop-down list, I'm going to choose Node.js. And down here, I don't really want the full code sample, so let's minimize it. And I'm simply going to copy this connection string. And this is basically what we need to copy when we are connecting using Mongoose. So this is what I'm going to paste here. So this is basically how we are connecting to our database. The only thing is that here I need to replace this with my password. So as you might remember, my password was this thing. And as I said, this function, the mongoose.connect, is a long function. It's an asynchronous function. And this is why we're doing it inside an asynchronous function of our own. And here I'm going to await for the connection to complete. And once the connection is created, once we are connected to Mongoose, let's write here something just so we know that we are actually connected. So console.log, we are connected. Let's now try to call our function, and let's try to run our program. So I can just use my npm script, npm start. And we can see we are connected, which is great. It means that we succeeded to connect using Mongoose to our MongoDB database. Now, let's say that I also want to be able to insert some basic information from my Node application to the database. So the first thing we need to do if we want to do it the Mongoose way is to create a schema. Because this is you can call it the strength of Mongoose. It makes working with MongoDB a bit more organized, a bit more schema aware. As opposed to working without Mongoose, directly with a MongoDB driver, if you are taking this route, you can work with any document you want, of any format, any structure, with or without any fields, completely schema-less. But we are working with Mongoose, so we are going to need this schema. So let me insert here a basic schema I created before, and let's see what we have here. So first, to create this schema, I had to use mongoose.schema. And then I need to specify the structure of each of the documents that are going to follow this schema. So each document is going to have two fields, a username and a password hash. This can be used, for example, for storing users in your database, if this is what you are planning to do with your Mongo database. So for user, I had to define the type, and the type I chose was string. Then I specify that I want this field to be required. We will not be able to create a document that does not have a username. All of the documents will have a username. And I also want this field to be unique. This way I assure that I'm not going to have two different users that are using the same username. The next field is the password hash. This is also going to be a string, and this is also going to be required. So now we have a schema, but this is not enough on its own to actually go ahead and create documents. We need one more connecting link, and this is the model. So let's create a model that is based on this schema, and this is how it looks like. So the schema was user schema, and I simply named my model user. And to create the model, I used mongoose.model. Then I had to specify a name for my model, and the second parameter is the schema that I am using. So the model is what's standing in between the schema and the actual documents. The schema is nothing but a blueprint, but using the model, this is something concrete, actual. This is what's going to allow us to actually go ahead and create documents. So let's create a new function here, and this function will be used to create an actual document that is based on this model. This is what will enable us to actually create a user and insert the document representing this document to our database. So I'm just going to call this function insert info, and here is how it's going to look like. So as I said, we're going to need to use the model. This is why here I'm going to write user, because user is my model. And since we want to create a new document based on this model, we need to write here new user. This way we can use the model to create a new document that is based on it. And as a parameter, we need to pass an object. Now, the object has to follow the schema. So as you might remember, our schema requires us to have a username and a password hash. So I'm going to follow these requirements. I'm going to have a username and a password hash. So let's add them here. And these two are going to be the keys to this object. So colon here and also colon here. And now we need to specify the actual values. So let's say, for example, that I get these values as parameters to my function. So this is going to be, name, and this is going to be password. And now I can use these values as the values for the object. So here I'm going to use the name parameter, and here I'm going to use the password parameter. So using this, we can create a new document. So let's define a constant here to store this new document. And now we have this new document, but this is not enough on its own. We're missing one more step, and this is to actually go ahead and save this new document in our database. To do that, we are using the new document object, so new doc.save. This is what's going to actually save the document in the database. Once again, this is a long asynchronous function, so we would better await it. So this function, of course, has to be asynchronous. And once we are done saving, let's write something to the console. So let's try to add a call to this function. So down here, after we are connecting to the database, let's try to insert the info, which is basically creating the document and saving it to the database. And let's say that the name is going to be my name, and the password is going to be, in a real application, this should be a password hash, not a real password, but bear with me here. So let's say ABC. So once again, let's try to run our application. So npm start, and we can see document saved, which means that we should be able to find this new document in our database. So let's try to use our MongoDB extension. Let's open it from here. And it seems like it didn't work, right? We cannot see here the new information. But if we're going back to the website itself, let's close this. If we're going to collections, we can see that we have something new here, which is test, the test database. And inside this test database, we have users. And lo and behold, in the users collection, we have this document that we just created, which means that we created it successfully, but it was created in this strange test database. And this is probably the reason we cannot see it from the MongoDB extension. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it to a different database. To do that, we need to specify it in the connection string. So here, right after mongodb.net /, we need to specify the name of the database we want to use. I want to save it to my DB1 database, so this is what I'm going to write here. And now, let's try to run our program again. So npm start, and once again we can see document saved. So let's refresh this database, and we can now see that we have here the users collection, and we have here one document. And if we open the content of this document, we can see our user. One last thing I want to mention is how to use a .env file, because the way I did it here is not considered the most secure way. Right here, I just hard-coded my password. This is not considered best practice. What's considered a better solution is to use a .env file. So let's create one here. And here I need to define a constant storing my password. So let's call it, for example, MongoDB password. And this is going to actually store the value of the password. So I'm going to move it from here. I'm going to paste it here. And now, in my actual application, it's going to look like this. So first, I'm going to use string interpolation. So I need to replace this with a backtick, and also here at the end. And then here, instead of hard coding my password, I'm going to write it here inside these curly braces. And it's going to look like this: process.env, and then the name of the constant we defined in this file, in .env. So in my case, Mongo pass. So this is what I'm going to write here. And now to be able to use the values that are in my .env file, I need to go back to my package.json file. And here in my script, I need to add this --env file equals .env. When I use my script now to run my application, it's going to extract the content from the .env file, and I will be able to use my MongoDB password. And now it's considered more secure, so let's try again. Maybe let's change the information for our user. So instead of Matan, it's going to be Matan1. Let's try again. And once again, we can see document saved. And if I refresh my database, under users, we can see that we have two documents. So this is the first document, and this is the second document. And I should probably mention that the reason it used this name for the collection, it used the name users, is because our model is called user. So it automatically pluralizes the name of your model. In my case, I called my model user, so it uses the plural version of the name for the name of the collection.